Professional rallying. For years, a popular and around the world, attracting drivers of international reputation, like New Zealander Rod Millen. It's driving flat out, over every conceivable road condition. Truly a test of endurance, performance, and durability for both drivers. It's a test against the elements and against time.
Racing against time is so much harder than racing side by side against your fellow competitors. At times you feel you're going very competitively and you get to the end of the stage and you check your fellow competitor's stage times and he's beaten you by quite a lot. At other times it's the dead reverse. With this rally it's going to be so much different to what the normal national events are that are normally held in this country. Being a longer event, I would figure that John Buffum, Hendrik Block, John Wolf and myself are more used to these style of events. John Buffum has got to be the main competitor to beat in this event. His experience in American rallying is the best of anybody's. John Wolf is another one that'll be there right to the finish. Consider for me to beat these guys, I'm going to have to sort of set a good hard pace at the start, try and push them and make them go harder to stay with our car, and hopefully be able to take it easy towards the end. Is so much difference to rallying in Europe. In Europe we get a chance to practice the roads and go over several times. The navigator normally reads out notes that we make during our practice so that when it comes to the event we're very well tuned into the style of event we're going to be running. In America we drive those roads blind. We've never been over the roads before, so it's quite neat. This is one of the biggest secrets in rallying. Anticipate the crest at 10 miles an hour. You'll get an idea before you get there and you should be able to go across it at 100 miles an hour. We need some bit of gas.
How much gas do you want to run for a circuit?
Full tank. I don't know. One of the main things in a rally car, if you've got a reasonable engine, is suspension and tyres. We always have spent hours and hours on our suspension. In fact, our engine was put in and has done 4 events now and it was never looked at. But the suspension was being changed all the time to get far better sort of road holding and actually handling better, the car handling better. You know, I've been rallying for 10 years on special rally tyres and I thought a regular street tyre wouldn't do the job. We did some testing and we found they came up with identical results. Also had some problems and is back a bit, but I'd say he'll be slowly moving up through the field. What are you going to do on this next stage?
Instructions on the next stage? Try to beat you without trying.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. Did you get much snow on that last stage?
No. Well, we're quite lucky because they passed us, and then we followed him for 80 k's. And every time he was hitting the brakes, and it wasn't a real big bump on the road, we just kept it flat, and we'd catch up to him again.
We changed the lower control arm, which we'd also bent, and got back in. The next stage, we went off course because it was a marginal instruction, let's say. And then on the very long stage, we were cruising along about 120 down one of the real smooth roads, but we got launched off of a crest in the road, which I just didn't see, and we flew through the air with hardly the greatest of ease, because we were doing like 100 when we took off, and we landed square on the front of the car, and the bumper fell off, the muffler fell off, the exhaust came loose, bent the steering rack, and bent the front strut. So we stopped for about 4 minutes to just sort of see if we could continue, and we trucked on to the end with the steering really tight, and then we replaced all the parts the next service.
That was the
Here we are.
With these service stops, we've got to try and fit as much in as we can. Especially now that we've been rallying all night, everybody's starting to get real tired, and it's very easy to make a slight mistake or forget to check something. Something like this happens, we can be eliminated from the event just that easily. Just a matter of knowing what to do, you know, in all these different conditions that you come across. You learn something new all the time. And some of the more experienced drivers, guys that are, you know, 10 years older than myself, have got all that knowledge stored away, so as to speak, you know, in their little wee computer. And when they come across that tricky turn again, they've been there before, they've got themselves out of it, and they can get themselves out of it again, you know. So, you know, rallying, that's where it's so much different to other forms of road racing. It's experience on all these different types of terrain, different types of corners, everything like that. And it takes several years to gain this sort of background knowledge of how to get yourself out of a really tricky situation at times. Rallying to me is the most challenging of all motorsports. A rally driver has to be very adaptable to take in all the types of conditions you might encounter on a rally. It might be wet, slushy snow at the start of an event, and then end up with real dry and dusty at the end. I must have lost, I think, 4 rallies through flat tyres. During the season we had approximately 30 flat tyres, and we were running special rally tyres. Okay, I got a lot of practice at changing flat tyres, but I don't really think that's what I'm there for. This year we decided that we would go for a tyre that's a lot stronger and last the distance. This year we haven't had one yet, and we must have covered nearly 2,000 miles of special stages. Well, now that we're lying in second place and only a couple of minutes down from John Buffum, it's a good position to be at halfway through this rally.
When you're going up the side of the cliff and the navigator side on the outside as you slide around the corners, it somehow feels better to the driver than when the driver's side is on the outside with a cliff maybe a quarter of a mile
when your side's on the outside, you go slower?
Yeah, I go a little bit slower around those corners.
Well, I never look at a road being dangerous, whether it's got a 2-foot drop-off into a ditch or a 2,000-foot drop-off into a ditch. It doesn't really make any difference. You drive to what you see on the road, and that's it.
There's 10 cars stuck in back there. Somebody can take that off. There's 10 cars stuck back in that sand wash. And we came down, and a couple of them pointed us the right way. We came at Van Nuchter, and they're all in the middle. And I made another decision. Went up sort of over a mound, up over one of these berms, up onto the road, and back down. And luckily, shot across the sand wash the other way or right through. Rod left before. He headed back to